generate the bracket for me. So I think Purdue. I don't, as far as a Cinderella, I'm not sure, but I will. I'll make sure I get you guys that answer when I get it filled out.
Wait, so you have a magic algorithm that fills out a bracket?
Well, he's the data guy, weren't you? Like originally Twitter's data guy in sports.
Well, yeah. So okay, like it has to do, and I'll give you the ingredients of it. You can kind of figure it out. It has to do with like points per possession, pace of play, field goal percentage, and how well they rebound. Those are the main ingredients.
Oh, all right. I just go by Miami. So they're gonna win the whole thing. Everyone, you heard it here first. Miami Hurricanes. No,
I go with mascots, and do they wear primary colors? No, I'm just kidding.
There you go. That's the way to do it. That's what my wife does, and she seems to do well every time. So I guess
probably yeah. As I extol the virtues of the algorithm, the mascot formula trumps it every time.
Yeah, definitely. So as you may already know, we are a part of a Miami Dolphins network. So the biggest question around Miami is Tua. So I want to know, are the Miami Dolphins fully invested in Tua?
I guess that depends on what you mean by fully invested. I mean, they're going to give him every opportunity, but at the same time, no, you can't be. You literally cannot be. With the amount of concussions that he's had and everything else, you can't put a fully guaranteed 5-year deal in front of him and say, hey, we're fully behind you right now. So they have to hedge their bet. They're going to give him another year here. They're trying to teach him. I think the main thing they're trying to teach him right now is how to fall, because that's sort of been the problem. You ever watch Tua? It's not that he's sensitive to concussions. So he can't bleep and fall, and he falls backward and smacks his head because he's so stiff. He never learned how to what part of the art of quarterbacking is when you're getting hit, just kind of going limp. So you don't take that hit, you don't whack your head back there. And you ever watch Tua getting sacked, man? He's like the stiffest guy when he gets tackled. And so I think they're trying to teach him like something that somehow slipped through the cracks along the way. And it's part of the reason he injured his hip. I mean, he was just stiff, never learned to be loose and just kind of roll with it, back in the day at Alabama. So I think that's one of the things they're trying to teach him this offseason and help him out with that. And then, kind of see where they go from there. They're going to give him every opportunity, but at the same time, I mean, you literally have to hedge your bet. You can't bet at all. You're talking about jobs. You'd lose jobs. You bet it all on Tua, and he gets another concussion.
So I'm the resident professional wrestling fan on this podcast. I love it. And I love it. But seriously, you said that he couldn't fall. This is a big problem in that world of professional wrestling where they don't learn how to fall correctly. Do you think we've talked about people trying to learn how to slide, learn how to, get into that second base position for Robert Griffin III? Would it be beneficial to have someone come in and teach him how to fall and protect himself?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And they're trying to do that. I mean, they're even consulting some martial artists this offseason to kind of help with that. I know that they've got a judo consultant. I think they got put out there as jiu-jitsu on accident, but I think it's a judo consultant that's coming in to help him out, learn him how to hit and roll and fall and all those kinds of different things. They're serious about it. So they are bringing people in to kind of help him out with that. Now we'll see if that translates, if he's able to pick that up, able to learn. Some people are able to learn it. Some people freeze up in the heat of the moment and they go back to a muscle memory. So it'll be a question of if he learns it at this point.
Okay, so the running back position in Miami there isn't one. There's no one there currently on roster. Which running back on the open market do you believe has the best shot to sign in South Beach?
That's a really good question. I think they want to keep going to the draft with that. I mean, they'll look for somebody who's got good speed and vision. It can be a one-cut runner, because that's what you look for in that offense. And then also could catch out of the backfield. But and they love guys that have been in that system before. So if you find anybody that's been in the wide zone, they're going to look for them first. I felt like they really wanted to go to the draft for the running back position. This is a good class to do that with. It's a deep class. You can get running backs on into the third and fourth round that can probably make a season one impact. So in terms of free agency, I mean, just basically make a list of guys that have been one cut, outside zone runners, and then kind of go from there. You can kind of look and figure it out from there. Again, this is for free agency. If you're going to make a running back move, this is actually not a bad time to do it because they'll be cheaper. But as far as a specific name goes, I don't know who specifically they're keyed in on. I just know that, like I said, they have a very specific archetype, and once you kind of know what that is, it's pretty easy to kind of figure out who the list is.
Do you think they were going to be in on Saquon, or?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I do not. Saquon was either going to be the Giants were going to tag him, or he was going to Chicago. It was going to be one of those two.
Cool.
You spoke on the running back position deep in the draft this year. People are talking about the tight end position as well, and the Dolphins do not have a tight end either. So what kind of free agency market do you see with these tight ends, with the draft being kind of deep in that position? And who do you think the Miami Dolphins are looking for in the draft? If they can't draft everyone, they don't really have that many picks.
Right. They want to get more into like somebody who's kind of can handle both roles, can be an inline blocker and an off the line Y. And they haven't really had that. I mean, you look at, Gesicki was not really the world's greatest blocker, more of an off the line Y type guy. So you're going to find somebody that's got ability like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Musgrave in the draft was somebody they had circled just because he fits the archetype. But you need somebody who has the short area quicks and at least enough of a burst of speed to be able to take the intermediate game there. They don't have to be a track star. They don't have to be the fastest tight end in the class, but they've got to be able to handle the 8 to 10 yard game to be able to create a reliable, almost possession style receiver, and at the same time be a willing blocker in the run game. That's a big part of what Mike McDaniel is known as around the league. He's a genius who schemes up those correct run fits, right? And so that's sort of the thing. If you can find somebody to do this, I would not be surprised if Musgrave was somebody they were after in the draft.
With that being said, someone that fits perfectly, Darnell Washington, to that situation as well. Do you think he's going to be a first rounder, or do you think he might be available in the second round for them?
I think he's borderline guy. I mean, for tight ends, the problem, and if we go back and look at this, the problem is that teams tend to err on the side of athleticism and uber athleticism at that. So you're looking for like those track star guys early. You go back and you look at the tight ends that have gone over the last couple of years. And while I think he's totally worthy of going in the first round, absolutely believe it. Yeah. I think he's a guy who might be there in the second. And if you do, I absolutely believe they pull the trigger if he's there in the second.
Yeah, I would take him over Michael Mayer, but that's just me. I'm a Georgia fan. But we have been talking about these lack of position depth on the Miami Dolphins. Is Chris Greer on the hot seat? Because I feel like his roster just isn't looking good right now.
I don't know if he's on the hot seat per se. I think if the Tua thing falls apart and then any other like major acquisition that he's made suddenly falls apart, like if a Ramsey flames out, which I don't see happening, but in fact, Vic's scheme is perfect for him. But if one of those moves were to suddenly high profile move were to flame out, then you might start having that conversation. But he does have some holes to fill. You get to the end of this year and you're still looking at a lot of holes on the roster. That's something that ownership's going to look at and say, okay, what do we do it here? What's the solution here? Because this is how many years in a row we've stripped this thing down, but we haven't managed to build it back up in certain areas.
So Ben, Vic Fangio pretty well over there in Denver. What is he gonna do to make this a Vic Fangio defense, and how is it gonna? We already saw it with the Ramsey trade. What else is he gonna do to improve this defense?
Well, it's going to be very different philosophically from what you've had the last couple of years. What you've had the last couple of years are defenses that attack, especially Brian Flores and in everything, right? And then you had after that, it was still an attacking style defense. What you're going to get is a defense that's bend, don't break. It'll give up more yardage than you think, but fewer points. Its philosophy is send the absolute least amount of people you need to at the quarterback and drop everybody back in coverage. And it's going to be mostly quarters match, middle of field open. You'll see some 2 deep man under type stuff, but it's going to be mostly cover 4. Vic loves to have your DBs have to be able to hit. If they won't tackle, they won't be there. I'll just tell you now. So that's part of the reason you went and got Jalen Ramsey. That's a guy that'll hit. If you're a DB that'll hit, you'll have a place in Vic's defense. Up front, you want those front 3 guys to be able to get pressure. If those 3 can't rush the passer, there's going to be a problem. And then, you're going to have on the edge, they need to be versatile. They're going to rush the passer, but then they also need to be able to drop back into hook zone sometimes because he will do that a lot. One of those edge rushers is probably going backwards in a hook zone most of the time because he only really wants to send 4. And then, the defense in and of itself is a little susceptible to the run game. It really tries to bait you into running. It shows you light boxes and it's willing to give up runs because they're lower EPA plays. And then what it's trying to do is take advantage of you on third down. It's trying to get you into 3rd and 6 plus, give you 2 yards and a run, 2 yards and a run, or, that kind of thing. And then bait you into, and it'll come after you with a 0 blitz on third down, sometimes strategically placed. He doesn't do that all the time, but strategically placed. So the idea is to bait you into lower EPA plays. And the susceptible parts are it's susceptible to the run game and it's susceptible in the flats to the pass, which is why the Broncos struggled so much against the Raiders because they had Josh Jacobs going downhill and Derek Carr dinking and dunking him in the flats. So if you have an offense that's willing to do that and willing to be patient, that offense will have a chance against you. Other offenses, they're going to struggle. They're really going to struggle. So it's a good defense. Most of the people in the league are now running it. It's kind of taken the league by storm the same way the Cover 3 did for a few years, the Tampa 2 before that, and all that. I think there's some tweaks that are needed because, like I said, if you're patient and you're willing to nibble on the flats and you're willing to run the ball, you could be successful. The other Achilles heel of it is if you need a stop late, it really is a true bend don't break, and you're just going to struggle to get a stop late. Teams can kind of milk the clock out on you. So that's the other Achilles heel of it.
Great. So we have Ben Allbright on live with us on the Beer and Sports podcast. If you're not following us, Mugs and Balls on all platforms, come join us in the conversation on YouTube. So I just want to know, Lamar was expected to be the hottest name in this free agency period, with the Miami Dolphins being on top of that list. Have teams lost interest in him? Because it seems like his name is like so cold right now. If it was me, I would go spend 2 first-round picks and give him a contract if I could. What's going on with him?
Well, no, teams haven't, and teams are being smart about this. You don't make a move before you have to, and that's the thing that kind of bothered me. Everybody was freaking out because people didn't go offer contracts to Lamar like the day that he hit the day that the transition tag was applied. And I'm like, guys, have some patience here. A lot of these teams are looking to see what their other options are because the problem with the transition tag is that Baltimore can match it. So are you really going to be the team that looks Tua in the eye, says, he's the guy, you're our guy, you're absolute leader, you're a commander, we got you. Then you go offer a contract to Lamar Jackson and Baltimore matches it. You go slinking back to Tua and you're like, well, here's what had happened. We tripped and fell and the ink pen hit the paper and then we tried to take that back. And then, so, I mean, like, how do you do that? It's locker rooms are different. Like when you tell a dude, especially a quarterback, which is a confidence driven position, you tell him he's the guy, you're our leader, you're our guy. We're building everything around you. And then you go out and pursue somebody else. And, it can shatter confidence. The guys get mad. We saw what happened when, Atlanta pursued Deshaun Watson, and then they were forced to trade Matt Ryan. When Baker found out that the Browns were pursuing Watson, he demanded a trade right away. Now, granted, Watson ended up going there, and Baker went on, and it solved, it ostensibly solved things for the Browns. But that's the thing. If you're Atlanta right now, who would have been very interested, despite public proclamations to the opposite. Can you look Desmond Ridder in the eyes and say, you're our guy, we got you, young buck, welcome to the NFL, we got you, you're our guy, and then turn around and pursue Lamar, and if it doesn't work out, turn back to Desmond Ridder and say, well, oops, it doesn't really work like that. And so, I get a lot of pushback on that on Twitter. People are like, oh, you don't want to make Matt Corral mad or whatever. That's a different situation. Carolina is the number 1 pick in the draft, and everybody knows they're drafting a quarterback, right? Atlanta is going with Ridder unless Lamar Jackson, right? So if they whiff on that, they don't have another option. If Carolina whiffs on pursuing Lamar Jackson, they can just draft, CJ Stroud at number 1. So it really is, a little bit of a situation, a little bit of situational awareness in terms of doing that. I do think Lamar will get offers. I do think they'll be fine. I think what happens is you have a fan base and a media that is impatient and doesn't know what it doesn't know in a lot of cases. And, that's where all these tweets and think pieces come from is, people expecting coaches and front offices to be offering Lamar money right out the gate when they don't have to do that until well after the draft, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so I just want to welcome you officially to America because America is very impatient.
Yeah, and I'm one of them. Hey Ben, I want to ask you about your team over there. Matthew Berry out of the NFL Combine came out and said that he heard some whispers or had a conversation with somebody regarding Javonte Williams and his health. Maybe the Denver Broncos aren't letting the public know how injured he is. He could miss half the season, maybe the whole entire season. First, is that true? Second, does this change their offseason plans for the running back position?
Well, I had a great chat with Matt out there at the combine, talking about this stuff. Is it true that Javonte might be more hurt than letting on? It might be. It's a very, very serious injury, and if you're counting on him to be back and fully 100% by week 1 of the season, I think that's foolish. That's even without any obfuscation on the injury. It was a multi-ligament injury, so I would not count on Javonte Williams. Probably the first quarter of the season, and then beyond. We still need to get closer to training camp to get a real timetable on that. As far as him, changing their running back plans, I don't think so. They're still going to go out and get at least one in free agency and probably draft one. Latavius Murray will be back. And they already cut Chase Edmonds. They were trying to keep Chase, but they cut him. They may bring him back on a reduced deal. But with Sean Payton, you need running backs that have a particular skill set. I mean, you go back and you look, and he likes a 1-2 punch. He likes a power guy, and then he likes a guy who can kind of catch really well out of the backfield. Whether that was Ingram and Ingram being the power guy, and whether that was Alvin Kamara or whether it was Reggie Bush or Terrence, but whatever, you go back and look. And so I think they need that guy that catches well out of the backfield. Kareem Hunt in free agency looks to be kind of sort of that guy. Dave Montgomery maybe too. Both those guys previously worked with the new Broncos running backs coach. So there's kind of a link there. I would suggest that maybe one of those two guys could possibly wind up in Denver. And then, as Javonte comes back, then you can kind of work and have kind of a three-headed monster similar to what they had with Ingram and Sproles and all those guys back in the day.
That's not something fantasy managers want to hear. I'm sorry about that, guys.
So with that being said, Chargers, Austin Eckler has requested permission to speak. He kind of seems like he fits that mold of what Denver might be looking for to pair with Javonte. Could that be a possibility?
Very possible. He knows the offense. He's from Colorado. Very, very, very possible. The problem for Eckler is that he's going to want way too much money relative to what Denver wants to spend on the position.
I can see that. And with all these people requesting trade, there's also players on the block as well. Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Darius Slays are kind of the bigger names out there. If they get traded, where do you see them going, and what percentage would you put on them landing there?
Landing where? Landing in Denver?
So like a team that you think they could go to. So like Derrick Henry,
gotcha.
Where do you think they could go, and what percentage would you put on that?
I think Henry stays with the Titans when all's said and done. If he goes anywhere, it's probably Buffalo. I put a low percentage on that, like 30% maybe. What was, let's see, the other names? Nuke. Hopkins is 100% getting traded. The question is where. I know Kansas City was interested. I don't know, how serious they're going to be on that. There's several teams that are very interested.
Will Dallas be interested? As a Dallas Cowboys fan, I need to know.
I think they want Odell. I think Dallas wants Odell over Nuke, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Hopkins tries to make his way to the Patriots, but we'll see. Yeah. I know Bill O'Brien being back there, and everybody talks about that situation being sour, but he knows the offense, and time heals all wounds. So we'll see. Who are some of the other names? Slay, I think might go back to Detroit. He'll have some other options out there. The corner is the money thing. I mean, it's the hardest position to satisfy for any roster. So, and then you mentioned what was the other name you mentioned?
It was just Darius.
Well, I have one.
Yeah.
It's not on the list. Mike Evans. There's some rumblings over here in Tampa.
Not moving. Staying in Tampa.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yes, good.
You guys stay up to date with Ben Allbright on Twitter because he mentioned that I believe last week.
Oh, he did last week.
Mike
All right.
Evans
Well, down here on the local radio, we're still talking about it, unfortunately. So, I have a question about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the quarterback position. How true or how legit is this Baker Mayfield rumor heading to Tampa? And is Kyle Trask? Are they going to run with Kyle Trask? Are they going to bring in a veteran to compete with him?
Season, baby.
Well, Trask is the plan. I'll put it to you that way. I think they're going to go like all in on that and do the coin flip thing. If it works out, they look like geniuses. If it doesn't work out, they're going to be in line to get a great quarterback in a stacked class next year, right? So the idea that they're going to bring in Baker, they're looking at that, but I think the plan right now is Trask and an extremely cheap veteran like a Drew Lock, to kind of come in and just kind of be the other guy there. Locke obviously has experience with the offensive coordinator there, so that's probably the direction they go. I'm not saying they're out on Baker by any means, but from what I understood, the plan was Trask, see what happens, so we know if we're building around Trask or getting a new quarterback.
So since we're in the quarterback talk, we can't talk about a quarterback without going to Aaron Rodgers. And it's been reported that the Jets and Green Bay have agreed on a trade deal, but Rodgers has to approve. Where are we on that timeline, and how do you see that playing out?
Well, that's exactly where it is. Somebody reported that they hadn't agreed, which is weird because I was told by somebody on the Jets side they had. So that was odd. But in the end, do I think Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets? Yeah, kind of. I don't know. I've been through this process before personally. Last year in Denver with Rodgers. Now we already knew by now that Rodgers wasn't coming to Denver at this point, but he's I don't want to say he's addicted to attention because I don't know the guy personally, but I'll say that it comes across that way. It comes across like he's addicted to the drama and the attention and all that kind of stuff and milks it for all he can. Now, somebody told me, and I can't verify this, so someone told me that there's a contract provision that has to do with a bonus mechanism, and that's the reason he's just been kind of silent and is going to be silent for a couple more days till that deadline passes or whatever. And that there's some to make sure he protects some money, something. But I don't know that that's true. Like that's unsubstantiated rumor I'm repeating right now. So,
okay, well, we won't hold you to it, but as every year that you come on, we appreciate you coming on. I always leave you with this question: what is one thing that you could tell us that might shock us that's going to happen in free agency period?
Oh man, it's a good question. The 3-tech market is going to be absurd. You're going to see for the narrative that's going to come out of wave one free agency is how much interior defensive linemen and interior offensive linemen are getting paid. So guards and like 3-tech defensive tackles. And so teams that would have been pursuing 3-techs, I think the limited supply of them, you look at like Hargrave, Draymond, guys like that. I think they're going to wind up going to the draft. So you're going to see those guys get a lot of money. Like Draymond Jones, the Broncos were hoping to get him at like 15 per. His market could be as high as 22 million per on the free agent market. Yeah, that's the thing. So like I said, defensive tackles and interior offensive linemen like guards, you're going to see those guys get triple P paid in this one because there's a lot of money out there. You're also going to see some teams that look like they're sleeping that aren't. They're just holding their money because they're letting wave one get through and they're trying to get the value picks in wave two, wave three.
Yeah, definitely. And you can probably thank Washington for that escalated price range with the contract that they just gave to Daron Payne. But I do want to thank you again, Ben, for coming on. If you are following him, I don't know who isn't. Make sure you are following Ben Allbright at Allbright NFL. Thank you again.
Yeah, no worries. Unfollow me at Allbright NFL. It's dumpster fire.
Hey, thanks, Ben. It's always a pleasure every year. I love it. Thanks for making some time for us.
Yeah, guys, no worries.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, so there we go. Ben Allbright was just on kind of our reaction period to this interview. I first want to say it's so great that he comes on. I appreciate him all the time. He's been coming on for the last 4 years, and it's just been fantastic. Great guy. Met him at the Senior Bowl, and he's exactly how you would assume a great guy. And yeah. So what is your reaction to this?
Now that he's off the line, I could stop freaking out. I was wondering why is my computer in battery saving mode and why is my computer plugged in and it's not charging? So I have 5% left on my computer. Now I'm going to go plug in my computer for a second. So you take a drink and now I can stop freaking out.
Yeah, there we go. I was going to be like the cool guy that mentions because we are a beer and sports podcast, but it's noon and I saw Evan Posner, friend of the show in the network, said, is it too early for beer? It's never too early for beer. But if you're currently working and you don't want to get in trouble, it is. So I have coffee in here and I was going to say, oh yeah, I got my coffee stout here. It is not that. It is coffee. Don't fire me, work.
No. Yeah, that was a good interview. There's a lot of things I took out of that. Trask season kind of scares me. I knew it was coming,
So down for that.
and I'm not down for it at all. It's going to be a massive failure, I believe. But
Just to interrupt you real quick, I was so high on him coming out. This is kind of how was my evaluation. So I'm so excited to see him get the opportunity to play because I truly believe in my evaluation of Kyle Trask. I had him above Trey Lance. So let's see.
And also out of the interview, I learned that Ben Allbright not a wrestling fan. He gave me the
No one is.
I was like, what do you mean? Like I called it. I was very offended by that, Mr. Benjamin Allbright. No, good times, but I never thought about that. Tua does not know how to fall, and taking him to the WWE Performance Center and actually taking some bumps. Why not? He can learn how to fall from the best. Like that's what they do. That's their job. I never thought about that. Like that right there. I'm always like protect Tua, protect him. But no, he needs to protect himself and learn. I never grasped that ever. So
yeah,
that was good.
No, that's not something I either noticed. So that's cool to hear from him. As well, it kind of surprised me that Greer is not on the hot seat. Like, as someone looking at this, his things that he's done to this team, I would figured he would be the top person on the hot list, but I guess he's not. I mean, going back to Evan, he's always said that these guys are married together, and you kind of confirm that with Ben saying the exact same thing.
Yeah. Other than that, I do believe I'm not going to blow it. Trust me, I got nothing from this. I got no sources. I'm just reading between the lines. Do you think Matthew Berry got that information from Allbright at the NFL Scouting Combine? Because he did say, I did speak with Barry a little bit. I don't know. No, I honestly, that's concerning to me. I knew Javonte was going to miss at least half the season last season. Now we're getting closer and closer, and it doesn't sound good. And it doesn't sound likely they're going to bring anything to help that room. Latavius Murray and Chase Edmonds do not excite me at all. Gosh, come on, Javonte, get better. Because I think that running game is going to be putrid.
I mean, I know he mentioned that the contract isn't right, but he wants out. Maybe he wants to go play for an offensive genius.
Who are you talking
about? Austin Eckler. That would just be such a great marriage of two players.
But they're not going to trade in division.
That's true.
Yeah, they're not going to trade in division.
I didn't think about that.
I did. I said, I was like, when you guys said that, I'm like, what do you? Ben's like, that'd be a great fit. And I guess, what do you mean? They're not going to trade them like literally to their rival.
It's not like it's never happened before.
No, I know it's happened. But it rarely
maybe they overpay a little bit to get him. But that would just be such a great marriage. I feel like he would fit so well in that Sean Payton offense.
Yeah, I do. For those of you watching right now, make sure you check out our next show at 1 p.m. Huddle Up and Wait, Dave Stager. I don't know if Brett Legasse's going to be on, but he's in the chat, so he should be. And yours truly will be on there as well. So make sure y'all watches it on that show at 1 o'clock. Hey, Josh, I got a question for you.
Yeah, definitely. Let's hear it.
My question to you is, what did you think about him saying Ramsey was a perfect fit for this defense? Because me and you haven't discussed this yet. How are you feeling about this? I know a lot of people on Twitter are roasting this trade, at least on the fantasy world. There was actually a thread of, how can Stephon Diggs ever get open against Ramsey? And how can this guy? And this guy showed videos of every receiver burning Ramsey in the league. So what do you think about this? Was it
I mean
over there?
No, he's one of the top corners in the league. The only issue that you can honestly have an issue with is this contract. Like, you're paying him $17.5 million. Like, that scares me on a team that is already strapped for cash. I know they made room for moves, but you just put $17.5 million on your salary cap to be an issue. But, oh my goodness, this secondary is going to be unreal. He doesn't have to be the number one guy. Jalen Ramsey doesn't have to be the number one guy because Xavier Howard can be the best cornerback in the league. I think people are not understanding that. Like, when he had a cornerback on the opposite side that kind of shut down the guy across from him, it was amazing. But now you have a guy that can turn the ball over and can make big plays. So it's going to be a dangerous 1-2 combination to have Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey. Pick your poison there because they both can burn you if you make a mistake.
It's just a funny thread I saw. Jeff Bell over there on Twitter. Go check him out. He just posted how is this guy going to do well against Ramsey? And it shows literally just highlights of Ramsey being burnt by every receiver he mentioned. Pretty funny stuff, but I know everyone's excited for Ramsey on this network.
But the thing is, like, find a cornerback that has been burnt. They don't have one film of them being burnt by every receiver. Like, it's going to be there. Like, you could easily find
Pat Surtain.
I guarantee you he's been burnt on one play by everyone he's been up against.
Look, I'm not a Ramsey hater. This isn't the move I would make. With all that money you freed up, I would have made a different move. But I'm happy either way. At least they're making moves. At least they're doing something. I'd rather be a fan of a team that they're making moves rather than just sitting on their hands.
Can you see Miami getting a big player at safety like Jesse Bates? I don't think that would happen just because they've spent enough money in the secondary. They got to allocate their money elsewhere. Like we've talked before with Ben Allbright. They don't have a running back. They don't really have a tight end at this point.
They don't have a tight end.
The one that they did have, they traded.
They don't have. Yeah, the running back position is pretty huge. I mean, I know they can get a cheap one. I know they're probably going to bring Mostert back, which he was okay, but he's not exciting. I want a game breaker, but whatever. But I don't want to spend any more money on the secondary. It doesn't make sense at this point. Got to beef up that offense.
You need linebackers. You need.
Well, yes, that too.
You need running backs. You have a lot more to fill out. Like, yeah, you have two really good receivers, but then what do you have after that? So
you have two tight ends. Who are they? Evan? Who?
Hunter Long got traded yesterday to get.
I'd like to know who these two tight ends are that are going to be awesome in this offense. I'd like to know because they don't exist in my eyes. I don't know. I would like Evan to tell me who they are.
So not to blow us up, but we had a section in here to answer any questions that didn't get answered that we were going to ask. Now, boy, did we do really well in that question and scheduling of what we were going to ask. But what do you think about this? We were going to ask Ben, any truth to Carolina being interested in moving the first overall pick? What's your takeaway on that question? Come on.
Do you think do you ever make a purchase or a move and you instantly regret it, but you can't undo it? I'm not saying that they instantly regret.
Who can't undo it? I've become the instant Karen, and I'm like, "Hello, can I speak to your manager? I'm undoing this."
Like, have you ever done, maybe they're having some regrets because that was a lot to give up for the quarterback.
I don't think it was.
What?
I don't for a quarterback. I don't think if you believe in a quarterback, which I think it's CJ. Can't think of his name right now. I don't know why.
You think it's CJ Stroud? You think it's Stroud?
CJ Stroud. Okay. I think that's who they're going for. But like, if
Smythe.
you can ultimately get the future of your
team, said Smythe. Do I have a laugh track?
No, you don't. But you can play that one. I am that. Oh wow. Calais Campbell. He's getting a little older, injured a lot, but Dolphins thirsty. Just said that he was released. I'm now seeing that on NFL Network.
Oh wow.
He's up there in age. What is he? 36, something like that. Been hurt the last couple years. But if he's still willing to play, he could be at a lower cost, potentially a good asset to a team.
No, go back to the Carolina thing. So you gave up your franchise for a
franchise
quarterback.
What did you give up? You gave up a second. You gave up another for a first,
and
a third, and then a DJ Moore,
and one of the best receivers in the game. Is
he a top 10 receiver? Is he a top 10 receiver?
Top 10.
No.
Hold on. We have not seen his full potential. He's been playing with straight up bums his entire career. What if because Stephon Diggs wasn't elite Stephon Diggs until he went over to Josh Allen in the Buffalo Bills. Stephon Diggs was good. Stephon Diggs was, putting up 1,100,000 yards.
Yeah,
what can DJ Moore do with a better situation? I'm not saying Justin Fields is a better situation, by the way. But
he did play with Cam Newton.
Okay.
But he doesn't score touchdowns.
Because Cam Newton was stealing everything.
What could Jacoby Myers do?
Hold on. CMC and Cam Newton was the problem there because why would you throw it to DJ Moore when you have the best offensive red zone threat of all time in Cam Newton and the second best offensive red zone threat of all time in CMC?
It is Jacoby Myers like poor man's DJ Moore?
No, Jacoby Myers is a wide receiver 2 in this league, fantasy speak. And I believe he's going to be a great secondary player. If you put him in a primary role, he's not going to succeed. So, yeah.
I don't like, I could say that the same, like DJ Moore is really good at moving the ball. He's very good. You can do a lot of things with him, but he ultimately does not get you over the top and get you that touchdown. So what are we doing here? He could be a good receiver too. He's not that number one guy because he doesn't score that touchdown for you. So at that point, he's allocating, okay, he's my top guy. I don't trust him as my top guy. So let's move on from him and get an actual guy that in here that can be a red zone threat, can score touchdowns for us. And we're not offending him. But then at the same time, we're using him as an asset so we don't have to give up more draft picks to go get our quarterback.
Yeah, Jacoby Myers is great at doing what Evan said. Look, Jacoby Myers, if he goes to Carolina and replaces DJ Moore, that's a huge downgrade. But you upgraded your quarterback position, you think, right? You would have to. That's a huge upgrade.
You would hope. If you believe in a guy, go get him. If you believe in a quarterback, go get him. And that's what I think they did. I don't believe that they're willing to give up the first overall pick. I think that's just we'll see. We'll put it out there and see if someone's like, okay, I need to go get him now. This is my guy. I'm willing to overspend what you spent for this pick. But I feel like we'll listen, but we're going to take our guy here.
No, yeah, I understand. We'll listen. We'll take our guy here. But why couldn't you take your guy at 9? What if their guy is someone that could fall at 9? What if it is AR? What if it is someone they could get later? Like, what if they want to believe us? I'm not saying they do. They trade up, obviously, because they want Stroud.
You can't. If you believe in a guy, you can't just wait and say.
But why not? Why not trade up for like 3 or 4 and it's a lot cheaper and you can still get your guy that you want? Because
how much cheaper is 3 or 4?
I don't know. Not that much. Not that
much. What
are
you keeping DJ Moore? I'll give up DJ.
I would love to keep DJ Moore. I would love to.
I will give up DJ Moore to get my.
You underrate DJ Moore.
You underrate how valuable a good quarterback is to a team, and if you believe in this quarterback,
I don't. But I don't believe in any of these guys. I don't honestly. Okay, I believe in luck.
Carolina might.
Well, they believed in Baker, so I guess in Darnold. So
no, they took guys in that were first round picks and said, okay, we'll see what they do. Can we get them to blossom in our offense? They didn't say we believe in him 100%. We're taking an opportunity here to see what they can do for us because they were valued high before.
Yeah,
that's what they did there.
It just seems like you're putting your franchise back in a terrible division where you can probably win it if you keep that pick and keep DJ Moore and do all this stuff. But now you're putting yourself
keep
back.
What pick?
Keep
the 9.
Stay at 9 and take best player available. Sign some like Jimmy Garoppolo.
They didn't lose 9. They just made 9 into 1.
Oh, I know that.
It's not like they lost a pick.
But they also lost a second. They lost a lot of assets for someone that may not work out. I'm not a big fan of that. Like, for example, in Fantasy Dynasty, I'm not trading up to the 101, 102 ever because I don't want to give up a lot of assets for one player that may not work out. That's just my thoughts. There's no Patrick Mahomes in this draft. There's no Andrew Luck in this draft. Not that I can see. I'm only doing that if there's a Trevor Lawrence.
No one thought Pat Mahomes was going to be that guy. That's why he got taken at 12 and 13.
There was one guy.
Yeah, Andy Reid and Mike Margetti.
Yeah,
Mike Margetti from Football Alliance. But other than that, like no one really saw that happening. So that's why if you believe in a guy, just go get him because the quarterback position can transcend your franchise. And that's what they're looking to do.
What do you think about Bobby Wagner, Cowboys? Evan wants to know.
Depends on his price. I'd love to have him. He's got experience in this defense. So if we can get him on the cheap, bring him in. Good veteran presence. Might be able to be someone that can change the locker room around for us because he's a leader. I think that's ultimately what we need. We need a culture change in Dallas to get us over that hump.
Culture change would be coaching change, I believe. But that's just me. I don't think your coaching staff is set up.
I think a culture change would be, I think the Joneses need to reassess what they're doing as far as the culture. Like I don't have an issue with anything else. I think their culture change needs to happen within, and then it would transcend down the franchise.
Brett Legassi, if you're still here, what do you think about this analogy? Jerry Jones is to the Cowboys as Vince McMahon is to the WWE. Maybe it's time for them to just part ways. You're destroying your own franchise. not.
I don't know if
his
he's destroying.
but
I don't
just
know if
let
he's
someone
destroying.
But dude, every single year he does this shit. Odell, you're targeting Odell. You're into Odell. What has Odell done to make you think like Odell's a game changer? I'm sorry. When he was in LA,
Yeah, I don't know.
He was second fiddle and it was great, but that was 2 years ago.
My
insane.
issue is you've noticed in your offense where that's why he went out to try and get Brandon Cooks. And that's if you're not going to get Nuke, go get Brandon Cooks, in my opinion, because Odell's just same old that you've had. You don't have a deep threat right now to get this offense opened up wider, spread out the defense. I feel like you need that, and I think a speed guy would do that, and you've been needing it for the last 3 years, and if you've been listening to me, I've said that. So
Laramie Tunsil, see? Laramie Tunsil came up. I told you we should ask about Laramie Tunsil. That dude's getting traded. I told you we should ask about Laramie Tunsil.
With that being said, we are at our time here. Make sure to follow us, the Beer and Sports Podcast, at Mugs and Balls on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Follow Josh Kimball US, me, Josh Wingate 302 on Twitter, and follow the network, Fins Talk Sports Network, on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. And I did see we officially have a Twitch in the network as well.
Oh, wow.
And to like and subscribe both us and the network on YouTube. We appreciate everyone that stayed here. I know you didn't come for us. You came for Ben Allbright. But maybe you will come back for us because we're good. We're funny. Haha. Kimmel's ugly, so you can be like making fun of him for that.
We're funny, haha. That's your best fucking line. Hey guys, stick around. We're funny, haha.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? And we drink beer. I do. Kimmel does not because he is a part of the TB12 program. But just I need someone to drink with because he's not a good drinking partner right now. So there's that. But make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned in the network because Huddle Up and Wait with Dave Stager is coming up next. And Josh Kimball might guest host with him on that.
Evan, I don't watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. My bad, but I always like all y'all's videos, and I always make it a point to at least watch 5 seconds. Guys, I'm in Hogwarts. Like I'm literally in Hogwarts. I don't know what you want me to do. I'm learning.
What did that cost? Like, what did it cost for you to enroll into Hogwarts?
$79.99.
Ooh, that's a bargain right there, bud. And what do you hope to take with Hogwarts for the further your knowledge in
Josh,
the working place? And
let's just sign out. Let me say my last.
Do you have? Let's hear your last quote.
We're funny, ha ha.